If you're hanging around 5 guys that really aren't moving their careers along, you're hanging around the wrong people. I'm just telling you now, right? And the quicker you figure that out, the quicker you become more successful, period.
Hey everybody, welcome to Building Wealth the Wheeler Way again with Dr. Wheeler Pulliam. Super excited today. I got a good friend. Well, honestly, I'm a little disappointed. The guest I had planned couldn't show up. Warren Buffett couldn't make it. So in his place, I got my good friend here.
That's funny. Really was.
Marcus Mattox, otherwise known as Mark Mattox. Also, didn't you hold a record at Allen High School for something?
I don't know, like the incline press at one point, but this is back in like the late 90s or the early 90s.
Yes, so for you millennials out there, there was light before 2000.
Yeah, I'm old.
That's what it looks
so
like.
You know.
That's what it looks like. Mm. So, no, I'm happy. Listen, I'm happy to have Mark here. So Mark is a Dallas-Fort Worth native. For those of you who know me, know that I am not. I am from Mississippi, but I do love Dallas, Texas. But what I like about Mark is he is a go-getter, a self-starter. If you want to know about how to start a business, how to run a business, how to market a business, how to be successful at marketing that business, by the way, if you want to know a little something about crypto, he sprinkles a little crypto, he's the guy to go to, right? So this is Mr. Marcus Mattox. I want to say thanks for being here.
Hey man, good. I'm not sure if that intro is really all of me. I'm a lot of things. So some of those I am not.
Oh yeah, he's a husband and a father too. He's
yeah,
got a little boy too.
4-year-old. Yeah.
But don't ask him how to change diapers. I don't think he's the guy to go to.
Well, I think we're a little past that at 4 though.
I don't know.
He's putting on his shoes well though, so it's nice.
So listen, for our listeners, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself, how you wound up in the entrepreneur, what led you to become? I know you went to TCU, right?
Yeah, so it started at TCU. After TCU, I graduated. I had met a friend on a golf course. He had car washes at the time. He owned Classic Car Wash. Well, Classic Car Wash had gone through bankruptcy. They were out of California. He owned about 24. He had sold all of them except for 2. He let me lease one out. This is back when I was 24 years old, so right about 2000. And that lasted for about 2 years. I kind of found out why he wanted me to lease his wash for him, because he just needed somebody to run it for him, kind of, right? So he's collecting rents, I'm getting cash flows, but anyway, so beyond that, when I had been tech focused in college, went to like you said, TCU. After the car wash, I actually got a job in tech with MCI and in network security, right?
That's MCI WorldCom, right?
Yeah, well, it was WorldCom, but literally like the day after I started, we went back to MCI, and so it was great.
Quick aside, remember that? I grew up down the street from?
Oh yeah, Bernie Evers.
Bernie Evers, baby. Yep. He had a daughter a year younger than me, a daughter a year older than me, and I messed up.
He was WorldCom though.
Yeah, but still, right? Yeah. I could have been.
It was so funny because like a lot of the people that had worked there under WorldCom bitched about WorldCom, and we're so happy to go back to MCI. Because prior to that it was MCI, then became WorldCom, then back to MCI.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, for the listeners out there, so Bernie Evers was a con man, went to the jail. I think he's dead now. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think he passed. Yeah.
Yeah, but he embezzled a lot of money, like a Ponzi scheme in MCI WorldCom. A lot of people lost a lot of money
from Mississippi.
But yeah, from my hometown, yeah.
He was like a head coach there, right?
Yeah. He was a basketball coach from Canada. He came down. Quick story aside is I went to I was in French class and I went to
You were in French, okay.
Parlez-vous. Yeah, I went over to Paris, and then all of Bernie Evers' friends are there, and they called me to back and pitched this idea back then, 1998, of MCI WorldCom that was run by Bernie Evers, and wanted me to get my dad into it. So I go down back home, and my dad's like, "Hey, how is that? How was the Paris trip?" I'm like, "Hey, that's great. For $15,000, you can get in with Bernie Evers." And he listened to the whole thing, and then my dad's old school. You met him, and he looks at me, he's like, "Bernie Evers." He goes, "The man's a crook." And
yeah,
I'm like,
did he offer your dad to invest?
Oh, yeah, no. So but he says it's a crook, right? And so then you fast forward now, right? So now I'm in Bosnia, 1997, going some business. We had to go dark for a minute. Come back out, I call home on the payphone. For those of you who don't know what a payphone is, you pay for the phone. Yeah, and I'm calling, and I say, "Hey, everything's okay, Mom, Dad, I'm good." Dad goes, "Hey, you know that Bernie Evers? You remember Bernie Evers? I mean, yeah, what about him? Oh, man, he's, just bought a $100,000 gold umbrella, a $32 million home. Yeah, that thing really took off. Yeah, like that helps me. I said, never talk to me about Bernie Evers again. I hang up the phone. Right.
No.
Well, but then listen to the end of it. You fast forward like 3 years later or whatever, my phone rings again. I see the Bernie Evers on the front page of the paper, handcuffed. My phone rings. I open it up. It's my dad. I told you he was a crook. I'm like, we could have got out, Yeah. But anyway, so you were at
WorldCom. A quick story from WorldCom. So I was there after we got back to MCI. The story started to come out. So essentially what Bernie came in, so WorldCom was this little fish that swallowed this big fish, MCI, right? So essentially the employees were pissed, right? Because that dude removed all the coffee pots. He was so cheap to sell them off to pay down debt. Like, how much could you really gotten? Maybe $500,000. But anyway.
But coming off of that, right? So you decided, so basically you're like, hey, look, MCI WorldCom, this is not the life for me.
Right.
I need to get out on my own.
Well, not yet. So MCI is there. I'm in network security, right? That's dealing with hackers and viruses at the time. And I see there is nobody doing what we're actually doing in this group, right? But another thing I saw were the nice cars in the parking lot and who drove them. That would be the sales guys, right? So I got to know the sales guys. Well, and there was this position that about 3 years later came around, and it was a network security overlay for sales, right? And so I became that for like 50 reps, right? And so that was when I really started to earn, the six-figure income. So this is now 2004-ish, right? And 5 and 6. And got to know a lot of those guys. A lot of those guys are still, great friends now. And then, so when you start earning money, you start placing it. So I got into real estate at that point, 2008.
Right there with real estate. Now, were you like selling houses? You doing commercial?
No,
real estate,
yeah. So I had enough. So I was investing in SFR, single family homes. They just happen to be townhomes, right? Made a lot of mistakes, made some money, but made more mistakes.
Now, were you able to do that again for our listeners? Were you able to keep your main job
yes.
and do real estate? That's a great way to make some side money, right? And build a business, right? You're able to do two things at once. Yeah. So I didn't think about that.
There's a lot of good side hustles now, but that was mine back then. That was a little bit. So the 6 first townhomes that we built, that budget was about 2.5, right? Now, we had 7 investors in that. I was just an LP at the time. So, but anyway, that started to do fairly well. I left. So at about this time, about 2007-8, Verizon came in and bought us. You want to talk about a sucky corporate culture? Verizon is it, right? So
I just have to say, none of the opinions by Mark Mattox are backed by
not financial advice and
LLC,
only opinions. But here's the thing. So at MCI we had low bases, high commissions. When Verizon came in with the union employees, right? They came over into our building on Campbell Creek, and what they had was high base, very small commissions. So to get them off their butt, it took a lot. They didn't care. They were getting paid no matter what, right? And so just a total change. At MCI, if we had any margin at all, we'd sell it. Verizon, you had to have 20% or deals off. So what's going on?
What I'm hearing is just kind of you're just you're not enjoying it, and you're not seeing
exactly.
You're seeing the inefficacies of it, and you're like, hey, I need to get out on my own.
Right.
More point, right?
So in here, and I'll get to that now. So. Real estate was going well, so I decided to get my real estate license. I started selling commercial. So
how hard was it? Just for our listeners again who don't know, how hard was it to get your real estate license?
I don't know.
How much effort did that take, or time?
3 months tops. Yeah. It's not tough. So in Texas, a real estate license, you can basically do a realtor, selling homes, or you can go into the commercial side, right? Now, the commercial side's more math, but you have to go through that do the test too.
But most people can do it, right?
Yes. Oh, easily. Yes. Okay. Yeah. It's
so
it's
now
not tough.
you're going out into you're
right.
building that up more.
Right. So one of the investors in the townhome, his brother was a broker. I took him on. I got into commercial real estate. So this is kind of a bad time though, right? So it's 2007 going into 8, and here we go.
And again, for our listeners, right? This is all the subprime loans maybe you heard about that
where the strippers the strippers owned about 6 or 7 homes, right?
Right.
Because there was no money down.
Right. So what a subprime loan means is there was really nothing to back it. Like it was very easy to get a loan, and a lot of people, to Mattox's point, a lot of people were getting loans that maybe shouldn't have got loans, and that's kind of what caused a little bit of the crisis there in 2008.
Yeah, watch in fact, The Big Short's all about that. If you haven't seen The Big Short, it's very, very good. So
correct. So now
it's got a little Brad Pitt in there too. Boy and girl.
Now you're doing commercial real estate. Now, have you left MCI?
Yes, left there. Commercial real estate did upwards of about 50 million in my short time there.
And this is where you met your wife, right, Katie?
Actually, it was. We met.
Realtor love, right?
Yeah,
Realtor
So
love.
I got a call just real quick. I got a call. It was like 5 o'clock. I'm literally heading home, but on the way home, there's this warehouse, and this girl calls, and she sounds cute, whatever. So I'm like,
sounds cute.
Yeah, she sounds cute.
How does cute sound?
I don't know. Just you can kind of she was very driven too, right? And so I'm like, yeah, it's on the way home. Decided to drop by. Oh, she's pretty good looking, great, blah blah. But the warehouse totally did not suit her needs at all. Told her that. I was upfront. I was, I said, you really need to be looking from this. So apparently, I made an impression, although I didn't know it till about 6 months later.
Was that a good impression or a bad impression?
Well, initially it was bad because the warehouse didn't work for her, right?
Well, I'm talking about you.
But when we started talking, she was like, "Oh, this guy knows some things." I'm like, "Oh yeah, a little bit." But anyway, so
it's your modesty, right?
So that was that. Hang on. So if we want to talk about jobs, let me keep going to this jobs thing. And side hustles, right? So at this time now, commercial starting to kind of crumble too, right? The entire world's mounting down, right? At this point. So I call Barretto, one of my ex-bosses who worked at MCI, still at Verizon. He's like, man, I got the perfect job. So I go back in, right? So this is now 09, late 09. But at the same time, still got that itch, right? So me and some buddies from college out in El Paso, we decided to start a restaurant.
And these are, if you remind me, these are guys you went to college with?
Right. So went to college with 2 of them at TCU, because one was my best friend, in fact, and so they brought in a third friend. So it was 4 of us. We pooled our cash, and we just started a restaurant, a small location out.
What kind of restaurant was it?
Well, it's still around. It's called Wing Daddy Sauce House. You can kind of, wings and, fun beer, drinks, whatever.
So the 4 of you guys got together to start a restaurant. I mean, this kind of speaks to what I've always said. It's not exactly, being smart helps, right? But it's not all about.
No, it's about connections too, right? Like your network is your net worth. Period. Right. So if you're hanging around,
that. Say that again. What's that?
If your network is your net worth, right? So if you're hanging around 5 guys that really aren't moving their careers along, you're hanging around the wrong people. I'm just telling you now, right? And the quicker you figure that out, the quicker you become more successful. Period. Right. Yeah, so that's why these guys, these well-off guys at MCI, now Verizon, who had great. I mean, some of these guys their commissions were $400,000, $500,000, right? And MCI capped, but you had a committee you could go to uncap, right? And so, but anyway, so I go back to Verizon for like 2 years.
So you got so you got Wing Daddy's going, commercial real estate going, and now you're back at work.
I'm going back to
so you got two side hustles, and
at that point the commercial real estate had really, I would say,
it's there.
Peaked. Yes. If there's a deal to be had, I would be looking, right? And so went back for about a year and a half. Now 2009, 2010 rolls around, and I just can't do it. So I'm completely out, right? And
so let's talk about that. What is it like being out on your own? Right, versus having a boss, right? What is that? What is that like?
Well, I can tell you this. I had never been let go of a job, and my time at Verizon, that very short time. So I went to work for a guy that I knew there. He was my boss, and he was, he was in, really, it was in big deal. So I'm not sure exactly his title, but it was VP at the time. But anyway, so he actually had to fire me. Right, let me go in a RIF, right, a reduction in force. So if you hear that, reduction in force, RIF, and that's a very bad thing. In fact, a lot of tech startups right now are going through that now. But so he let me go, but he immediately found me another job inside the company. I will tell you that day that I went into his office, and I went up there every day, and so we had these talks, and just great talks, great deal flow. But anyway. He is telling me this, and I'm like your stomach just kind of drops at first. Like, I am really getting I've never been let go in my life, right? Yeah. I don't,
it's not a good feeling.
It's not a good feeling. Even when you have assets that, that are working for you, it's never a good feeling. And that's really where the bug caught me. Now, at this time too, the restaurant's taken off. Now we've got 2 of them. Right.
Yeah. And to your point, and going back, and for those of you who don't know, layoffs are going to be more common. And right now, I think the stats are you're going to change jobs 4 to 5 times in your career, whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
Right. And so for those of you out there that are listening, be prepared for things like that. And then how is that going to affect your, what's your plan B? What's your savings? Right. And it sounds like you kind of have that.
Well, they say now that the average job length right now is just 2 years. 2.5 years, right? And so,
but then going back to it,
so you need to have a plan B, yes.
And then also part of it is, hey,
or a side hustle.
You're your own boss, right? So you can't fire yourself, right?
No,
right. I mean, that's got to be a good feeling, right? At some point, I mean, there's certainly a stressor, I'm assuming, right? That now it's all on me,
right?
But the other side is, you work hard, you're probably going to be successful.
Yep.
And you're not going to, whereas if you're working for a company, you work hard, you're successful, and yet maybe you still get fired,
right?
Does that drive you? Does that drive you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it drives everyone. I think if you look back, I mean, every unless you start at a very very young age and you're just your own boss, from after high school, which is very very rare, right? You typically go to work for someone and then you see an opportunity out there and you take it, right? And you typically have a mentor that helps, right? And so I would encourage anybody out there, you need to get a job in the industry that you want to work in first, right? Work 6 months, work a year, right? At least understand it.
That's good advice.
Right?
Yep.
You go jumping in with both feet, Yep. Yeah, you got $5,000 or $10,000 or $50,000, whatever it is, you still need the experience, right? You still need that corporate experience. How do I do a budget? What's a balance sheet? What's a cash flow statement? Right? You need to learn that stuff. In fact, I tell my 4-year-old, even now, which he's like a little man. It's crazy.
You got your 4-year-old doing balance sheets?
Bro, he knows what stocks is. He's like, Dad, that stock's going up. I'm like, yeah, it's green. That's good. It won't be going up for long, but it is now. So. All
right, so let's go back then. So you've got, and you've launched more than one restaurant too. I mean, we don't have to go down the whole.
Well, it's just been 2. Yeah.
But you've launched 2 restaurants. You were big in marketing them, right? Running them. You kind of know what's maybe a pitfall for somebody who's starting out or thinking about doing their own thing. What's maybe one thing that they need to think about that you've seen people make that mistake, Tom? I mean, I think the restaurant has got an 88% failure rate, and yet you've launched 2 successful ones.
Yeah. I
mean,
so
what's maybe for somebody out there thinking, what's like a big thing that sticks out to you? Like, oh man, don't do this.
Well, getting back to your network, right? You need to partner with the right people, right? You can't just go, hey, you know what? This guy's my best friend. I'm gonna start a business with him, and he knows nothing, right? He drinks a lot, whatever it may be, right? It's just like you really have to look around, expand your network out. That is really the key to everything, right? Now, do you need some capital? Absolutely. You have to show a proof of concept first, right? A proof of work, right? And
so that's just for our listeners then. Capital, I mean, you got to have money. You got to have starting up money.
You got to have a little bit.
Proof of concept, like what are you doing, like a business plan, and what does this look like? How do I take this pile of money and make a business out of it, and what does that plan look like?
And in that's where the mentor comes in too, because he can open up your network for you. He can help you, right? He might want to invest. Your parents, like right now, there's a lot of people that your parents are investing in you. One, you're living, if you're living with your parents are investing, right? I mean, they're actually giving you free money right now, right?
That's a good point.
So save that for 6, 7, 10 months, 12 months, year, whatever, and use it, right? And so we had talked about the whole YOLO Robinhood thing, last 2 years, but when
so let's talk about that. So it's things like Robinhood. There's a lot of stuff out there again designed for like easy, quick money, maybe for those who are not, not informed, right? And don't keep it. What are some things to look out for when something like obviously Robinhood has problems, right?
Yes.
Right. And we don't have to get into that. You guys can Google Robinhood and you can go find that article or whatever. But what are some things that maybe the people out there who are looking for, where to save their money or do it yourself type of stuff? What are some things to be wary of? Like, what would be a red flag for you when you saw the next Robinhood come along? Especially on the internet, right?
Well, I mean, there's always, Nigerian men that want to marry you. I mean, let's just start there, right? Stop clicking the links, right?
Right.
That's a big thing too. No, I think
maybe one that's legit, right? A startup or something up there.
So if you're like me, my full-time job now is really trading crypto and stocks, even though we're kind of in this massive downturn the last six months. But yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at Robinhood, that was great, right? Because that really ushered in commission-free trading. That was great, right? And when we went into lockdowns, all these kids, right? Let's just say kids for now, they're getting stimulus checks. They ain't got to pay rent, right? Where am I going to put my cash in? And the easiest, to Robinhood's credit, it's very easy to use, right? Now, I wouldn't trade on it. I might do options, which is what I do on it, right? But that's about it, right? There's a lot of other ones out there.
So for people who are not maybe in the know, right? Where would you start? Where would you start to learn about what to do with your monies? Maybe where would you?
Well, I mean,
where did you start saving your money when you first came up?
When I started saving it, I don't know if I really saved. I had a cushion. I think when you're young, you need a cushion, but I think you need to start investing young, right?
Okay.
I mean, as you know, what's the there was a bartender story I read a year ago, and it was great. So she got out of high school, did not go to college. She got a managerial job at like a warehouse, right? So what she did was 2 days a week, she worked as a bartender, and everything that she made there, and I think it was like $200 a night, right? So that's $400 a week, right? Not bad. She saved that for 10 years and she let it sit there for 40. When she came out at like 55, she had like $6 million. That's the power of compounding interest.
Investing, exactly right.
That's it. Exactly now you got to have the discipline not to touch it though, because there's going to be some ups and downs. We are down right now, right? So you cannot dig into that, right? You got to just put it aside and let it go, right? And so.
In our final time here, I kind of want you touched on a little bit crypto. And for those of you who know cryptocurrency, if you haven't heard about it, you're probably living under a rock. If you don't know about it, don't feel bad. A lot of people don't understand it. For the longest time, I didn't understand it. I probably understand it more now than I did, but I'm not an expert. I will say that Mark Mattox here has gotten into crypto. I forget. We were on the golf course, right? Back in 2008,
yeah, I was.
9-ish. So we're on a golf course. And my man here, shanks his drive, of course, starts walking off, right? And then he starts talking about Bitcoin. And I keep hearing, I was deaf before the hearing aids. I kept thinking he's saying big coin. And so he's telling us all about, you guys need to get into Bitcoin. Bitcoin's where it's at. It's going to be the next big thing. And I kept thinking Bitcoin. So I'm thinking like, my kids walking around with this big coin. And I'm like, what do you do with that? I don't understand. And off we go to play golf. And then over the years, he kept saying, and of course now it's ballooned up. Mm-hmm. So we'll say that Mattox has been in it since the start, and you've been on the ups and downs. So when it comes to crypto, right, what would you say would be the first place someone who didn't know anything about crypto, where would they go to learn more about it?
Well, I mean, I would do some searches,
just a basic Google search.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to come up with Wikipedia, but I think the key is start small. Take about $200, $300, $500, right? And it sucks that I'm even saying this, but go to Coinbase, buy some, right? Understand that there's going to be ups and downs. Look at all the things you can do with it. There's Bitcoin, there's Ethereum. I'd stay with the blue chip. The blue chip layer ones right now is what it's called.
And again, for our listeners, that means kind of the main ones,
yes.
like a Bitcoin or your Ethereum or
Bitcoin,
something like that,
Ethereum, Poly, AVAX.
Some that have been around for a while.
Yeah.
Do they necessarily need to know about crypto?
Yeah. So what you do know about crypto and what's different from stocks is that crypto tends to kind of grind down and then FOMO up, right? Where stocks grind.
FOMO. What does FOMO mean?
That's fear of missing out,
okay.
Right? And so the price in crypto drives the narrative, right? So the higher it goes, the more people jump on board, right? Really the wrong way to look at it, but that's just how it works, right? Where in stocks grind up and then crash down. Right, completely different, right? But depending on the stocks too, right? They're both risk assets, right?
So just to jump in a little bit, so a stock, there's like an underlying. I think people understand if you don't own a stock, it's basically a part ownership of a company. And let's say take Walmart or McDonald's, and you can see that. You can see one person can walk in and see what a Walmart does or see what a McDonald's does. And there's the thing called they make money, right? As that company, McDonald's, or more cheeseburgers they sell, the more money they make, the more
correct.
Stuff that Walmart sells, the more money they make. Therefore, the stock ideally kind of goes up, just in simplistic terms. But crypto is a different animal,
right?
So what is? Just tell the audience what is crypto?
Well, in stocks, really quick, you've got buybacks, dividends, you've got cash flow. Actually,
lots of stuff
come in. Crypto does not have that, right?
But what is crypto?
There are a few. So
define
crypto is DLT, right? Digital ledger technologies, right? If we're just talking about Bitcoin's like a non-sovereign, hard-capped, decentralized store of value, right? That's what it is.
So basically, we're talking about electronic money, but maybe it's not.
We're talking about digital money that you can move around, right? And why there's a big thing about, so there's something called CBDCs, right? And that's central bank digital currencies, right? And what that is that you right now, they're like there's something called stable coins, right? And that's what CBDCs will be. So you've got a 1-for-1, right? So for every dollar, there's one USDC or one USDT, right? And so you can always redeem that, and it is pegged to the dollar. That's very, very key, right? Especially now, it's kind of one of the, if not the most important thing in crypto right now, because I could be trading Bitcoin and make $500, right? But I don't want to cash that out because guess what? That would be taxed, right? So I want to stay, and I want to reinvest. So I would go to a stable coin, right? That's a 1-for-1 to the dollar. So the profits I would take to a stable coin and let it sit there until the next trading opportunity.
But again, going back to it, so cryptocurrency is different than cash. How?
Well, it's digital cash is what it is, right? Like we could get into, like we could really go down.
Not to get down into the weeds, but just
our rabbit hole here is like
who go, hey, I've heard
like
of
what is
crypto.
wait, what is the dollar, right? So the dollar is not backed by anything. Bitcoin's not really backed by anything, So
would you say that Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency has value because a group of people deem that it has value, right?
Correct.
It just happens to be a big group of people and it's getting bigger.
Right.
Right? I mean, people for $1 go, what do you mean dollar's not backed by anything? I get that, but we can physically see a dollar bill and I can go to the store and hand a dollar bill. And then the idea behind cryptocurrency is we no longer need this physical dollar bill, and then you can move it and not get banks involved.
I think
that the idea.
Yes, I think we're already doing that with your PayPal's, your Venmos, your Cash App. Like the government wants you to go to this, right? They don't want you to actually spend, cash, right? In hand cash, right? So last year, because this is just a false narrative that's out there about crypto, and that is that $1 billion were scammed from people in crypto, right? Well, 30 billion were scammed from people just in cash.
Well, that's
right?
a good point. Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation. So the point is, there's a lot of misinformation.
A lot of scams
about crypto,
going around,
and it's hard to get the real information. So where should people go? I mean, is it mentors or find somebody like you that kind of knows about it, or where do you go?
That, or look, crypto is decentralized. There is no one person to go to. Right,
just to find out about it.
Right. Yeah, but there's no like Steve Jobs. There's nobody. There's no CEO of crypto or whatever crypto that you own. Right. There are developers that tend to help those ecosystems out, and there are some lead people. Right. But there's no I can't like once it's out there, it really can't be controlled. Right. I mean, there are certain things they can pull back. Yes, but it's digital. It's digital, and I hate to say dollars because one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. So when you start thinking in those terms versus $1 equals $1, you can wrap your head around that, right? Well, one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. It's the same thing. It's just
you bring up a good
point. If you take the dollar value out, right? Now you can kind of get it.
So what is the danger of people who are novice into crypto saying, "Hey, I saw Matt Damon on TV. Let me just throw $200 at this because." Maybe I don't understand it. I don't understand crypto, but I understand 200 going to 2,000 because that's what I think is going to happen.
Right.
What's the danger in that thinking?
That's not. So you need to really. So for me, I'll just tell you really quick. I probably did 500 hours of self study to really get into at the time Bitcoin. So I knew about Bitcoin in 2012. Started trading it in 2014, 2015. But prior to that, you know what the number one thing is? Go read the Bitcoin white paper. You'll get it, right? So for years,
the Bitcoin white paper, you can Google that and it'll come up.
Yeah. It's about 30 pages long. So for years, these very, very smart guys in Silicon Valley were trying to figure out how could they make this e-cash, right? But there was one problem. It was called the double spend problem. Crypto solved that, right? Bitcoin solved for the double spend. So Google that. You'll go down a big rabbit hole, but it's a very interesting one and one you'll want to know about, right? And
so would you recommend then that people just not randomly, because let's be honest, right? It's crypto today, and whether you agree with it or not, but that's kind of a fad to an extent as far as thought. And maybe it was something else in the '80s, and there'll be another one.
I don't know, man. I think
I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I'm not.
It's
I'm not
a $2 trillion asset class.
It's a fad. I'm saying it's a fad to invest in right now. Meaning what I'm saying is something that people may not know about. They're not really fully understanding where they're putting their money, but they're putting it there.
Correct.
Right. That is dangerous to do.
It is. So if you don't like volatility, then crypto's not the place to be.
And let me ask this: would you recommend putting all of your money into crypto?
No.
Right.
No. Okay. No. Right now, most institutions, even like very wealthy men that I know, the most is 5%, right? Most are around 2%, if they're really heavy. But that's because regulations. There are no really set regulations yet, right? But again, you can't ignore a $2 trillion asset
class. And again,
class.
I'm not talking about just specific. Crypto is just as an example, right? So I'm not endorsing or unendorsing crypto. I'm just saying as an example. Let's just call it widget, whatever investment. In this case, crypto. The danger you run into, especially younger people, is thinking that it's always going to go up. If I put in 200 and it's automatically going to go to 1,000, it's just not the reality.
Well, no stock, nothing goes up in a straight line, right?
So, but it's like Vegas, right? When you're winning, you want to put more money down, thinking you're not going to lose.
Right. That's FOMO right there.
Right. Fear of missing out.
Fear
of missing out.
Yeah. So,
so what would you say here when we're kind of wrapping up on crypto? What would be a key takeaway you would tell people looking to see if it makes sense for them or not?
Yeah, I would. So there are crypto future ETFs out there. You can get into those. There's one called GBTC, but there is a Canadian spot Bitcoin ETF. That would be a good way. That's a very safe play, right?
You're saying kind of dip your toe into one, put a little bit, $100, $50, whatever that is.
Yeah, but
that you can afford to walk away from and call it Vegas money. If I lose it, I don't care. And the best way you learn is by kind of being involved.
Right. You've got to get involved. You got to do your research, right? That's a big term in crypto. Like, do your own research, DYOR. And so,
but you're not putting your house money in it.
No.
You
You want to dip your toe. You want your $200, $500, right? Just to see what it does, right?
And you're not putting your 401k in it, right?
No.
I mean, I'm assuming. I know. So that's a very popular thing now, right? You see. I get clients call me all the time. So now that some companies are out there offering in the 401k plan,
it's coming.
You hear about, hey, well, do I need to put everything in crypto? So. This podcast is not meant to measure. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, don't put everything. Well, first of all, you got to diversify. Like nobody put look, we're investing for the long term here, and to put now a lot of billionaires are made when you just come down to that single asset, but that inside and out.
But it's kind of like being an NBA player, right? Not everybody who plays basketball is not going to wind up being an NBA player. So it's very small.
Right. So diversify, right? Yeah. So it should be a very small percentage of your portfolio right now until we have some regulations, and then or until you actually understand it, right? Now, so please understand, guys. I've been in since 2012. I've had 80% downs 4 times. I've had 2 90% downs. Right, and that's just in Bitcoin, right? I think I've had like 8 or 9 40% downs, right? And now, but
you're not eating beanie weenies when it's down. That's money you can afford, right?
Correct. Well,
you're not happy about it, but you're not. Your lifestyle didn't change when it goes up and down.
No. You. I mean, that's the lifestyle that you live, right?
I appreciate that. Yeah. And then switching gears here as we're wrapping up. Being an entrepreneur that you are, been very successful. The market is no lie. The market's crazy down right now. People freaking out. Inflation, I think, is something like 8.5%. What are your thoughts there? What should people be doing now?
I think you're so far. Well, look, not to be Mr. Macro here, but I think that right now.
Macro-matics, I like that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
No, that is not me. So you're so far down. Like if you're still in stocks, and a lot of you probably are, there might be another leg down, 10% tops, right? So you might as well just stick it out now, right?
But what about those people out there doing the side hustle? Maybe they're younger, maybe they're not. Maybe they got their W-2 job, they're going to work, and they're doing something on the side. What does this inflation do to them? You've been through the ups and downs trying to get your side hustle.
Well, I would say this: a lot of wealth can be made right now. So if you've got some cash, I'd really start to. I hate to dollar cost average in a downtrend, but this is where, because 20 years from now, this was the bottom, right? Mm-hmm. And you can make a lot of money putting in, and again, don't just drop in at one time, right?
We talk about over a month, maybe $300 or $400 a month, putting back into the investment of choice, maybe the S&P 500 or whatever that is.
But I will say this again, not to be Mr. Macro, but I do believe so. I think we're already in a mild recession. I think it's worse. I think we've probably got 18 months at least, maybe 24 months here. Cash is king. I think it gets worse. I don't think it gets much worse. The QE has completely screwed up the entire monetary system. This is something that we should have done in 2021, and here we are, right, with the QT.
But let's talk about stuff that people, that my viewers can't, right? They can't really affect that. But sitting at home, what can they do? And dollar cost averaging is very good. It's very disciplined to buy when things are down. But in essence, you're talking about buying when things are sell, which is it's counterintuitive, but that's what you're supposed to do, especially in the market. Mm-hmm. But aside from markets, and just in lifestyle in general, as an entrepreneur, what do you suggest?
Oh, I think you've got to cut back. A side gig is really, really good right now, right? A lot of people in times like this that were working for themselves do go back into the workforce, right? And just kind of wait it out, right? But a lot of people working for themselves right now will get a side hustle, right? Or they're working from home and they might be working 2 jobs, and the employers not really know you're working 2 jobs. I've got a friend like that right now. So
I had one friend who had 2 jobs, but he wasn't really working one. He was at one company, and they fired him or let him go, but they didn't tell payroll. So he's in essence he got paid for a year. He get paid $100,000 from another job when he went over had another job, and then he finally got he he felt guilty about it and finally called them and told them.
And that is corporate America to a T right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you showing up. Hopefully people took, we talked about crypto. Again, if it's, learn what you're doing, kind of get into it. If you want to get into it, be very minimalistic about it and only put in what you can afford to lose.
Well, understand and know what you own.
Know what you own. Understand it's volatile. Getting a side hustle. It's about your network, right? Mm-hmm. Network. Get a mentor out there to kind of show you the ropes. If you're able to get a job and something that you like or think you're gonna like, try and do that first. That's the best way. Mm-hmm. And then perseverance, right? Even when it's down, you gotta keep plugging away.
Yeah. I mean, especially when it's down. This is when you want to invest the most, right? And so, this is what makes generational wealth. And so, you have to look at these bear markets as an opportunity to get into the market, right? You're gonna like today. I think we're at the lows of the last literally since the 20 March 2020. So
where can people find you?
Okay, so I do a lot of TikTok lives. Look at stocktrade.tips. That's not a website, so you can type that in on TikTok. You can type it in on YouTube. You can on Twitter. Not a big following there yet. I just hadn't tried. It's at Trading Heavy, and you can find me there. I've got a lot of different opinions, mostly on crypto, but I do trade risk assets across the board, and that includes equities and stocks, of course, and that's what I do right now. So now I am invested in some side hustles, if you would, some private companies, right?
Some dark secret, non-governmental stuff.
Offshore. A little bit, I am a fan. Let's just say this of ghost kitchens. So yeah.
Yes. All right, that'll be the next podcast on building wealth with Wheeler with a ghost kitchen. Mm-hmm. I can imagine you in the kitchen, but. Thank you, Max. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks, man.
Be sure to check us up next time for our next episode of Building Wealth with Wheeler and give you some more ideas about how you can retire successfully and make sure, again, that you don't die broke. Thanks.